Real talk. Question for you guys. Are mortgage lenders actual human beings? What about realtors? And if you do in fact believe that real estate professionals are people too, should they be allowed to have opinions? If so, should those opinions impact the advice they give their clients? Let's talk about politics, specifically the latest tariff news you probably missed. Let's talk AI, and let's talk about covering your own ass. We'll start with the news. This week we saw 3 interesting headlines. The first was that sellers now outnumber buyers for the first time in 12 years. Are we finally in a buyer's market? The New York Post, not to be confused with the New York Times or the Washington Post, reported that as of April, there are nearly 500,000 more homes on the market than buyers actively shopping. Does that mean demand is cooling? Does it mean that prices could come down? Kinda, but not really. And here's why. The median sales price still rose 1.8% year over year in April, which was the 22nd straight month of annual price growth. How could inventory be increasing, but prices not going down? This is economics, supply and demand. There's 3 reasons why. The first is that the need for homes measured by household formations has not decreased. The ability to buy homes has. It's an affordability problem. Based on the population, we still have a huge shortage of homes built, then available for sale. Second, there's a 3 to 6 month lag before we'd see this ratio of buyers to sellers actually impact price growth, and by then the ratio could be inverted back the other direction. Then third, in order for prices to fall, you need sellers to be desperate. They have to be in a position where they must sell, and they must sell now. Then they start cutting prices to whatever it takes to move the property, right? And that's when you would see market values going down. Based on the data and my own experiences helping buyers right now try to negotiate for deals, sellers aren't that hard pressed to sell right now. We're seeing some buyers get a deal, but we're also seeing that if we push it too far, if we ask for too much of a price cut or too much of a seller concession, we'll get a straight up rejection because the sellers don't have to sell. The second bit of interesting news in regards to inflation was the April's personal consumption expenditures report. It came in at 2.1%, which was the lowest since March of 2021. But the market didn't party on the news because inflation concerns with the trade wars and housing costs were still pretty hot within that reading. The shelter component rose 4% year over year, which is not great. When these numbers came in, there were actually whispers of a Fed rate hike before the end of the year. But later in the week, Trump met with Powell and was very clear that that would be a mistake and that he wants lower rates now. Then, late last night, Thursday night, the first ruling came down on Trump's tariffs. The U.S. Court of International Trade ruled that the majority of Trump's new import taxes were actually issued illegally because he did so under an emergency order, and that's illegal to do trade deals that way. This will for sure get tied up in appeals. It's already been appealed, but ultimately I think it's pretty likely it ends up in front of the Supreme Court. I guess there were actually 4 pieces of news that I wanted to share today, but I don't know if your attention spans would have given me that much patience. 3 seems to be the magic number, so I just lied to you. But here's the extra news. While Trump has argued that tariffs will fan the flames of economic growth, economists have voiced concerns that they would do the exact opposite. This week, GDP numbers came in showing the economy shrank 0.2%. It might be fair or even logical to blame the previous administration because this is just Q1, January, February, March. Trump wasn't even in office that long. He just came in. But there's 2 pieces of this information, 2 factors of the GDP that should not be ignored. Consumer spending, how much you and I are willing to go out and spend money right now, and net exports, how many American products are being shipped out. So read trade war, tangible impact. The primary growth engine of our economy is consumer spending, and it was at its weakest pace in 2 years. Then there was a 5-point decline in net exports, which underscores a tangible impact of the new trade policies, specifically when it comes to retaliatory tariffs. But now I might be going too far because, after all, I am only a mortgage lender. When it comes to current events, an interesting topic came up this week. As realtors and lenders, should we have an opinion on the latest headlines? I tend to lean the direction of realtors and lenders being humans first. I also think that taking the time to understand the economic news that impacts interest rates and then ultimately home sales as a result of those interest rates is not only advisable, but should actually be a requirement of real estate advisors. Hence the motivation to put out this weekly blog so that you guys have ammo to discuss when someone asks you, how's the real estate market? Then when I really dive into our role, I think, how could we possibly give the best advice to our clients if we're not up to speed on the news? I know professionals out there who don't tell their clients what to do because they don't want any liability. Which brings me to the fastest growing threat we've seen as realtors and lenders in recent years: artificial intelligence. For the client that doesn't want your guidance or opinion, I think the AI bot will do just fine to unlock doors and write contracts. Now that you know how I feel about giving opinions and advice, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you willing to tell your clients what you think about current policy and how it should impact their real estate strategies?